This is about to get really, really ugly for those who do not understand what money is. So, in today, we're going to break down what money is very simplistically. And if you understand that debt is money and money is debt, it will radically transform your family's timeline. So, in today's video, I'm going to break down debt monetization. It's not super exciting, but you understand how they move money through the system through debt. You can take advantage of the biggest shift and generational wealth. My name is Coach JB. What I work to do is make very complex macro and microeconomic strategies very simple so the normal everyday person can implement them. I teach waves of energy that goes up, it goes down, and if you do the opposite of the 99%, you can radically transform your family's life. So I teach people what's called tax code 7702, infinity banking concept, how we ensure our wealth during these volatile times. So when it's down, our principal is locked in. When it's up, we're earning and leveraging. It's called the infinity banking concept, index universal life. It's worked for me and hundreds of people. So if you want to set up a free consultation, click the description of this video down below. You'll set up a free consultation with my licensed insurance team in all 50 states. Number two, I have an absolutely free guide for you, 16-page book. At the back end of every video, I show you exactly what I'm doing. It outlines the whole book. It's absolutely free. So let's dive right into it. So this video today, I need you to get out a pen and paper. We're going to school, okay? So the first thing we're going to watch is here's why the Feds are going to cut rates. We know that Feds are going to cut rates, but I want you to think of money as debt. Okay, this is super, super important. If you can understand this concept, it will change the way that you invest. All money is debt. All the Feds are doing is monetizing debt. Okay. So interest rates are high, inflation is high, and to cool inflation, they must lower rates. Why? Because all money is debt. Your income is my debt. My debt is your income. Well, what happens when interest rates are high and people are not borrowing? There's no debt in the system. Everybody's credit cards are maxed. So now it's starting to tip into a liquidity crisis. So in order to get more debt into the system, they feel that they need to lower interest rates. Okay. Then what that does is it gets people to borrow again. And when you borrow, that creates more money. But the Feds can print money. You can't. The Feds can print money and you can't. Now, this has been going on for a very long time. The problem is we got the brunt of it now, guys. The wealth gap is massive since 1971. And now when they lower interest rates, you as the middle class is getting wiped out, moving down to the working poor. So when they lower these interest rates and assets go into hyperinflation, you're not going to be able to afford a home unless you understand how this works. So what I'm doing is I'm getting into assets that are going to inflate dramatically when interest rates go down. And when it goes up, I'm pulling profits and I'm just moving it into debt monetization, which I'll explain on the back in this video. So let's first watch this video, okay? And we need to start to understand what the Feds are going to do on the back end of this year. Everybody's, worried about the Super Bowl and the presidential election, guys. The president doesn't make the decisions on a CBDC. The president doesn't make the decision. It is the Feds, the central banks that make these decisions, guys. It's the bank of banks. So all the central banks in the world are all over leverage right now, okay? There's only debt in the system. So there's only two ways they can fix this. Lower rates, print more money, create more debt, or reset the system. There's only two ways. They're not going to reset the system right now. They're going to lower rates and print more money, which is going to make the wealth gap extremely massive in between the rich and poor. And I'd much rather be on the wealthy side so I can create resources for my people. So let's listen to this first video.
Our next guest is betting that a rally is ahead for treasuries, and we could get a downside for equities. Joining us now, Kamal Srikumar, president of Srikumar Global Strategies and former chief global strategist for TCW. Thank you for being here, Sri. Explain that thinking for us. What would be the driver of those two markets?
The driver here, and I think the consumers are said to be a very strong part of the economy right now, Leslie. I put out a report on Saturday saying that is where actually a serious weakness lies. Consumer spending is supporting the US economy, but consumer spending has been rising faster than income. And in the four largest US banks, credit card loans rose even faster than consumer spending.
Okay, so that's what I wanted you guys to hear. We're not going to go into all the rest of it. So what he's saying is consumer spending is rising, but it's with debt, guys. And I showed you the consumer credit index yesterday. It's maxed. So people now, because I was in Costco's last weekend, my Costco haul was $500 for 32 items. Steak, 4 or 5 steaks was like $70. So what's happening now, the stimulus has dried up. People don't have more income, so they're stacking their credit cards. They're going at a last-ditch effort trying to get more credit. The banks are starting to get liquidated because, remember, debt is income. But when people can't service that debt, we're going to head into what's called a recession. Okay. So what they're going to do is to try to correct this right before the presidential election, which helps you tremendously when you own cryptocurrency, stocks, or real estate, is your assets are going to go through the roof. But I want you to understand, this is a really cute video that I saw. It's the trouble with debt monetization. I'd highly check out this video. So we're going to watch the first 3 minutes of it, but we need to understand, I want to educate you on what money is. Once you understand, it's just debt, family. All the feds do is they print, they buy junk bonds, they take a bad debt off of the big companies and they package it up and sell it back. It's literally a Ponzi scheme. Money's moving through the system. So you got to flow with that money. You got to understand where the money's going. When they lower interest rates, your crypto, your stocks, and your house is going to go through the roof on the back end this year. But you have to have an exit plan. You exit because what goes up must come down. You exit and then you put it into tangible things, real estate, insurance, lock it into businesses. And then when the cycle comes down, you buy back in. Then we just follow the wave. That's all we do, family. It's not that difficult.
As of writing this script, the national debt is just under $20 trillion. It has been a concern for many people for quite some time, but there are some people who assert that the debt doesn't actually exist.
Which is crazy. This video was 6 years ago. 20 trillion. I'm going to show you the debt clock after this. You're going to shit your pants, man. How much it's gone up for 6 years.
There are multiple variations on the arguments asserting this claim, but they all base their conclusion on 2 points. 1, the debt is denominated in US dollars, and 2, the US controls the issuance of US dollars. The logic, or lack thereof, behind this is that the US can create dollars to pay its debts. Needless to say, there are some problems with this logic. Firstly, the ability to quickly pay off a debt doesn't mean that it doesn't exist. Your ability to buy more toilet paper doesn't mean that you suddenly have more of it when you run out. Secondly, the ability to do this is not as simple as it is portrayed, and it is not without serious consequences. What is being proposed here is something I mentioned in part 1, called debt monetization. Debt monetization is when the government creates money from nothing and then uses these newly created dollars to pay off its debt. What this has done is add a bunch of new dollars into the economy. When the number of dollars increases, the prices of everything else increases, which in economics is called inflation. The theory behind debt monetization is that it will cause prices to go up, especially for those who are unemployed or underemployed. What really concerns people about debt monetization is hyperinflation. Hyperinflation is when prices go up dramatically in a very short time. Inflation is just the first identifiable issue with debt monetization.
Okay, so I want you guys to hear that part, okay? So that's what you're experiencing right now. That's why if you made $100,000 in 2020, the inflation, rent's gone up, gas has gone up, steaks have gone up, and now you make about $75,000 without doing anything. So when you're watching the presidential election, you're watching all this stuff happening, like, oh, we're lowering rates, you get super excited. But the environment we're in right now, because of so much printed money, because interest rates were low for such a long time, they're literally robbing Peter to pay Paul. So when they lower interest rates, if you're not an investor and you're not properly allocated into assets and you don't know how to exit these markets and you're just a normal everyday person cruising along with your 401k, you're going to get wrecked. There's going to be so much hyperinflation within the system because the house that I bought last year is going to go over $1 million, right? The $600,000 house is going to shoot over $1 million. Okay. Then I have equity in that home. Boom. I'll borrow from that equity and I'll buy a rental property. What most people do is watch it go up and go down. When my crypto goes up, I'm going to pull 50% of my crypto. I'm going to max fund my index universal life policies and I'll leverage against my policies to buy more real estate. I'm going to use their lack of discipline and debt monetization to my advantage. That's the key to this. Okay. So when they lower interest rates, again, just remember, they lower interest rates, your assets are going to go up. But what goes up, what happens, family, must come down. It's always going to come back down. It's just a wave. It's just a cycle. Just like you, everything is a wave. Everything is energy. Everybody goes up. They're in, a great mood. And then you go back down. The markets go up and then it goes back down. This has been happening. Everybody's waiting for a savior. Jesus said, there's no savior coming to save you. In the beginning is the end. And in the end, you'll find out it's the beginning. It's you guys. It's you. So remember when I told you 6 years ago, it said 20 trillion. We're at 34 trillion in national debt. Okay. So I just wanted to help you guys understand at a deep level, what is money? Money is just debt. So hopefully that makes sense. Comment down below if that makes sense to you. And when you understand that money is just debt, you think differently about it. So We know that all the feds can do now, like write this down, all the feds can do now is either reset the system, the central banks, all the central banks are working together around the world, just so you guys know. There's probably going to be some sort of reset, but it's going to be in a digital currency type of way. There's going to be an asset backed currency at some point. Is it going to happen next 12 months? Probably not during a presidential election. Will it happen next 10 years? Absolutely. But during those next 10 years, you can become the new richest family in the world. So another thing I want to say to you guys is this whole protesting and going out there and fighting against an invisible enemy. Guess what? That's what they want. They're laughing at you. You're in your jacked up truck paying $1,200 a month. You can barely afford to put gas in it, but you're protesting when you should be creating a budget, getting your shit together, invest. They don't want you investing. They don't want you focused on that. They want us fighting against each other. They want the left and right fighting, confused. They want transgender versus non-transgender fighting and confused. They don't want us all getting our shit together and realizing that we are the problem, that we are the cause, that we are the cure, that we are the solve. And that's what Jesus was teaching. He's like, get your shit together. Like, stop. He says, oh, Jesus. They try to mock him. Who should we pay our taxes to? And he says, who's on the coin? They're like, Caesar. He says, pay your taxes to Caesar. Give to God what is his. Give to me what is mine. There's no problem. There's no problem. You're the problem. It's your decisions, your actions, your behaviors. I'm living, walking, breathing proof of that. I was on my parents' couch in 2020, and now I'm financially free, spiritually free, and mentally free. I just finally took sovereignty of my own wealth and health and abundance. It's really that simple, but it's so complex, right? Don't let your left hand know what your right hand is doing, guys. Your right brain controls your left hand. We can go deep into that. I do that on my other channel, Refined Integrity. But anyways, so at the end of every video, and this is in the 16-page free book that's down in the description of this video or on my social media platform, I break down exactly what I'm doing. So I have cryptocurrency. I've invested quite a bit into cryptocurrency, in my opinion. I've been dollar cost averaging since 2020. I bought the dips. Okay. When it goes up, in the bull run 2024 to 2025, I'm using Merlin, the smartest way to track your crypto. We created this because we used to do spreadsheets. We created this. We have coming up on, we're going to come up on 3,000 customers pretty soon. It is absolutely amazing. We created a system where you can actually set up an exit plan where we'll alert you when you're close to your exit target. So it's 30 days for free in the description of this video. You can all download it, okay? When it goes up, I'll be exiting at targets on the way up. When I pull, I'm not going to be buying Lambos and big houses and stuff like that. Those things will come in the future if I choose to buy those things. But I will not buy those things unless they're bought and paid for by an asset. I don't buy liabilities unless an asset paid for it. I'm taking that money. I'm max funding my index universal life policies. I'm going to be getting more precious metals, and I'm going to be tapping into real estate, right? Then I'll let that settle for just a moment. When the markets come back down, my apologies for that. When the markets come back down, I'll buy back in, and I'll just follow the waves of cycles. When it goes down, I buy back in. When it goes up, I sell. But when I sell, I make sure that I'm putting it in things like tier 1 capital and things that have been here forever. Silver. I don't have any gold yet, but silver, I have silver. I'm getting into real estate now. These are tangible things that I can touch and feel, right? So I have some untangible fake air money like crypto and fiat currency, and I'll use that fake money that they can monetize and just print. It's fake, guys. You have to look at it fake. They can just turn the printing. The thing is, you can't turn the printing machine on. They can. Okay, that's the difference. And if you don't think the wealth gap is big now, guys, the wealth gap is going to be massive. And this whole time you're fighting an invisible enemy, and then you're not going to have any fight left in you because you can't feed your family. And guess what? They're going to come out with a Fed Now Services is going to be able to put money right in your bank account. UBI, Universal Basic Income. I ain't waiting for someone to come support me. So I hope this information, I hope that wasn't confusing. So I just want to get this information out to as many humans as possible. So many free resources in the description of this video or my social media platform. You can set up a free consultation with my insurance team. But a lot of people, it's funny, a lot of people are setting up consultations and they're like, yeah, and when they have to realize how much they have to save, you guys, you have to have about 2 million to retire comfortably now. You have to start now, like now, like there is now. So what I did is not only did I start now, 41, now I'm 48, but I also got my kids set up. And you should be getting, we have what's called the $1 Million Baby too. You should be setting your kids up as well. Give them a fighting chance, man. Get rid of the big ass jacked up truck, $1,200 payment. Get rid of the 2 cars, go down to 1, humble yourself, create a budget, because there's nothing better than financial freedom. You can get all the stuff later, guys. I'll buy all the cool stuff later, but I will not buy that stuff until an asset can pay for it. I'm no longer going to pay for liabilities myself. Okay. I'm a big enough liability on my own self, my own consciousness. So I love you guys. I appreciate you. As we always say, warriors, rise, get your shit together. Love you.